Hey, what is up, GameLeap YouTube? We're here today to talk about position for Pudge. Yes, you heard that correctly. How do you play Pudge in this current meta and not be completely useless? Well, one of my friends was recently watching Crit stream, and Crit apparently thinks Pudge is pretty good, and so, using some of the strategies that Crit uses, you'll be able to hopefully become a top tier Pudge in no time. But yeah, I'm going to be giving you all the tips and tricks in a game that I played just yesterday, right here today, so I can go through all of my mindsets, everything I'm thinking, how I hit the majority of my hooks, and so on. So let's get right into it. If you want to become a god tier Pudge and win your next 10 games of ranked, you just gotta hit the like button. That's all you gotta do. Actually, you have to do two things. Hit the like button, and you guys want to guess the second one? What do you think it is? Subscribe to the GameLeap website. Whoa, no way. Well, believe it or not, I'm posting full-length coaching sessions there and entire courses. I recently just made a video on Clockwork. I think I made one on Veno. There's a lot of good stuff coming out, so you guys gotta go check that out. Click the link down below, and you're gonna get a discount, actually. You're gonna get a discount for your first month, and now let's get into the Pudge video. Alright, so first things first, the main thing I want to say about Pudge is you just want to get the hook off cooldown. You want to try to hit as many hooks as possible in the lane, because what you should think about, when you're using hook, what you want to think about is really mostly the damage. It's 150 pure damage, right? That is insane. And so when I'm going into this laning stage, I'm really looking for any opportunity I can to hit a hook. So you see I walk out to here, I told my Viper to keep the high ground vision for me so that I could see it, and now I see the AM not moving and I just throw out a hook, right? That one seems kind of weird, but often when people are standing on this high ground, they're kind of just going to walk in circles. They don't expect you to do anything, right? What Pudge typically throws a hook 40 seconds before rune spawns? Most don't. But the thing is, I see it as value damage. I want to get the hook off cooldown and, starting to tick towards that 0-second mark so I can maybe get 2 off in a rune fight, and that's what's going to happen here. Now the AM takes mana burn, and I tell my Viper, hey, we can man up, and we're able to pick up the first blood onto the Anti-Mage. All of a sudden, yeah, now the lane's just in a really good spot. My Viper has 363 gold, and we've got to kill 25 seconds before the rune even started. So guys, please don't be afraid to set up before the rune. You don't have to do some meme hook, you don't have to do anything crazy, just force people into bad situations. And even here, we're continuing to chase, I get a hook onto the AA, and we get a little bit more damage. Now the main thing I forgot to mention is the build that I went is, and that I saw Crit going, is a Windlace, 3 Tangos, a Salve, a Mango, and 2 Clarities. And basically you can see that the goal here is just to have a decent mana regen, a lot of mana regen, and some movement speed so that you can position for the hooks, and that's about it. In the lane is kind of the same idea. All I'm really looking to do is punish overextending from the opponent, and you'll see a good example of that is upcoming here. I'm not gonna just AFK in the trees and wait for a hook. Why? Because when you do that, it actually, in my opinion, makes it harder to get a hook, because people realize, they're like, there's a Pudge missing. He's surely just gonna be standing in the trees on the right side. I just won't stand there. So instead, I act like I'm not going for a hook, when really the entire time I'm thinking about how can I get a hook. Including that, you can actually help. Like right here, I have 70 damage. The AM is chasing through the creep wave, right? This is not favorable for him. And therefore, I can just get a nice little auto attack in. It's value. And now, after the lane develops and they don't think I'm going to go for a hook, they're going to be a lot more comfortable. They're going to forget about what my hero does. And then this is just a free hook. I kind of just throw it in between them. Whoever I hit is fine. I didn't really care. And we get a lot of damage onto the AA. Now, the AM assumed, the AA got hooked. Surely, they're not going to go on me. Well, joke's on him. We make the call to go on the AM, and we pick up another kill. And so, yeah, the main thing I want to really point out about Pudge is that you do not need to just AFK, sit in the trees to have impact, right? You can do other stuff, right? You can auto-attack. You can protect your position 3, right? Like, imagine if I stood in the trees while the AM and the AA hit my Viper. Think about how different this lane would be already. In fact, I think we would lose the lane potentially because my Viper would lose all of his mana, right? And now here, I went for another hook. Honestly, this one, I don't know why I was able to hit it. I kind of just told my Viper, I'm like, hey, I'm going to hit a hook. And yeah, I hit another hook. So your boy Speed is on his Pudge game. Best Pudge in A. I was feeling myself. And then I walked back to base. After that, I kind of just kept buying a lot of Clarities and a lot of Mangoes. The biggest downside is that if you miss your spells, like if you miss your hooks, you're kind of, you're kind of done for it because you have very little mana. So it's very important that you make sure you throw them when your opponents are grouping up and it's kind of free. Just keep that in mind. Now, the second item I bought as well was a Ring of Regen. This just helps you sustain the lane. It builds into your Tranquils. And that's kind of just what you're going for. You're going for tranquils and mana items. Following that up, you still want to take Rot at level 3. You know, you could argue that Hook is not bad. It gives you 70 more damage, goes down in cooldown. You know, it is pretty solid. The only thing is Rot doubles in damage and it increases in move slow. I think, you know, that extra 6% can really help you stay on top of people, so I recommend you take that. And then finally, the next thing to consider is that Pudge rarely can solo kill people in the early game. It's very difficult, right? And therefore, it's important to communicate to your offlaner what your plan is. So right here, I see them farming this side camp. We are brutally far ahead. They're both level 2, we're level 3, level 4, because of some nice little hooks in the early game. And now, what I can do is I can get on top of this AA, I tell my Viper to shift over, and I only hook when I'm in melee range, right guys? I don't need to hook before then, because the AA is 285 movement speed. I, with the Winleys, am 300. So there's no way he gets away from me. It's literally impossible. And so I don't need to make, you know, the kill based upon luck. I just wait until he goes in a straight line, I hit a free hook, and I get a kill. Now, only at the 4-minute mark do I make my first rotation of the game, and it's very important to note why I even think I can make this rotation. The reason why is because they're diving my Luna. I expect them to chase a low HP hero. Typically, in any bracket, if someone gets low, the enemy's gonna chase, right? So it guarantees that I'll get a return kill, I'll get a flesh heap. So I'm pretty confident in that. Also, my Viper, and most importantly, my Viper is off to a good start. And because Viper is off to a good start, if I leave him alone, it's not going to hurt his game. If anything, it could help him at this point, just to get pure solo XP. In fact, he gets very over-leveled this game, and it works out well. Yeah, here, we're going to go in. I lead with my Rot, once again, only throwing the hook when I get into a guaranteed hook position. You only want to throw long-range hooks when you literally have to, and we get another kill. And that's just because they were diving. But most of the time, guys, I recommend you sort of just stay in your lane, and you play it safe, right? Stay in your lane and just dominate your laning stage. Keep throwing hooks at the safe laner and try to win your offlaner lane. And I'll just show you one more example in the early game. I Rot, I hit, I Rot. Now here, why don't I auto attack right away? I'm in auto attack range, why don't I auto attack? The reason is because I want to make sure that I keep the Rot on him. So I will only auto attack when I think, and this obviously comes with practice, but I will only auto attack when I think that I can auto attack him and still keep him in Rot range. So right here, I only auto attack then, which allows me to keep in the Rot range. He funnels up the ramp, and we get another kill. Also, I'm sitting mid for a very specific reason. It's important to know why. The reason why is because I know I can kill the Zeus, right? I wouldn't walk mid if the enemy was a Quap and she was full HP. That would be a complete waste of my time. There's very little I could do against that Quap. And therefore, it's important to know what your matchups are and who you can actually kill. Imagine if I TP'd bottom and it was, I don't know, an offlane Puck. I know that's a bad example, but like, maybe it's a Darkseer who has a lot of points in Surge, or a Batrider who's full HP. It probably won't work out, right? And so when I'm making my ganks, I have a direct purpose. I know right here I can kill the Zeus. Now here I went for a blind hook. Unfortunately, it was just off the mark. Good movement on his part. And I don't want to dive there, right? You can't really dive towers as Pudge. You have 1 armor. It just doesn't work. And then, I don't know, right here, the Zeus just kind of killed himself, so we get another kill. And then after the Zeus kill, what am I going to look to do? Well, I look top, I look at the minimap most specifically, and I say, where can I go? Can I kill the Zeus in 15 seconds? Maybe. Maybe I could just wait for him to TP back in. That's an option. Could I kill the Centaur? Well, that's what you have to ask yourself, and that's what I ask myself here. Can I kill the Centaur? I see him playing pretty far up, and so I tell my bottom lane I'm coming, right? It's very important to tell them, hey, I'm coming. I even ping. I'm like, go, right? Go on this guy. We wrap on him, and we'll be able to get the kill, right? I start with the Rot, don't need to do anything crazy, lead with the hook, and get the kill. Now, this game I decided to max the hook. I think, like, I really do believe you could go either way. You know, maxing out the Rot, it does make a lot of sense. It can help you push out creep waves, it can, you know, allow you to stay on top of people easier, but I also personally feel like I'm not that tanky, so maxing Rot would, you know, do a number to my HP pool. So next up, as I got another Centaur kill and I put myself to 5, 1, and 6 before the 10-minute mark, the main thing I want to talk about here is that it's okay to slow down the pace of the game as Pudge. So I TP'd bottom for a kill, and typically you actually don't want to like play side lanes too much. You really want to play around the river and around this area, like where they don't have vision. And the reason for that is you can then bounce between 2 lanes, and that's strong because when you can bounce between 2 lanes, you become unpredictable. It becomes hard for the enemy to read you. Now, in this case, my Rubik's is roaming, the enemy mid laner was dead, so I'm like, okay, I can't be top. So what am I going to do? I'm going to stay bottom, and this is a big thing that a lot of, you know, roamers do wrong in particular. They feel like, oh, I'm a roamer, I have to be roaming, right? No. If there's literally nowhere for you to roam to, or you don't feel like there's any tower you need to pressure or set up for, or hero you need to protect, then it's totally okay to farm. My Luna's jungling, My Skywrath is fine mid. Maybe I could be mid or top to protect my Viper. I think that would be totally legit. I think that's a fair argument. But at the same time, scaling on Pudge is very powerful. This hero with a lot of levels and XP is very strong. And so yeah, that's my option this game, and that's what I choose. Another quick tip I have for all of you Pudge players is if the pace of the game is slowing down, what you can do is dismember large camps. It's totally fine to do this because the dismember lasts for 6 seconds, and most importantly, it gives you all of your health back. So on a 30-second cooldown, you can farm a big camp for free. And in my opinion, that's very strong. It allows you to flash farm without dropping your HP pool by a large percentage. Now, I decided to do a lot of split pushing this game. Honestly, you can adjust this per game. This is often how I just like to play Dota in general, especially pubs. And I'm actually even able to get a solo kill on the enemy Earthshaker. And this is the plays I just love making. In my opinion, these are the highest impact plays because I'm going to prevent this guy from getting towards his next item, getting a lot of levels, and it's going to snowball my game very heavily. So I hit the hook, I get the kill, and even here I saw the AM was very low. So I walk up, I throw the hook, and then I think I turned on my rod a little bit too late there because he actually ends up living. So when I walk in here, I should have had my rod on right now. Like right now. And I turned it on slightly too late. I remember, I'm like, oh, I felt like I should have killed him. Because when you play like so much Dota and watch so much Dota, you have like intuition if you can kill someone or not. And here I was like, I was pretty sure I could kill him. Or I would have killed him. But I messed something up. So I turned it on slightly too late. I remember that in particular. Then I canceled my my hook animation to start. And therefore I didn't get an auto attack off either. So I really messed up there. I didn't turn on my rot early enough. I didn't get an auto attack in. I could have done both of those things. And he would have guaranteed died. And yeah, he actually lives through my air charge. Pretty big of a bummer, but that would have been a huge play if it worked out. But that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, think about it. In your average pub, if you split push for a little bit, and you're level like 10 or 11 at this point in the game, and the enemy cores are lower than this, right? Because this AM's not bad. He didn't have a great game. Obviously, we did quite well against him in lane, but he's still a decent player. What's going to happen if you just run at them in side lanes? What's going to happen is that you're either going to kill them or there's nothing they can do, right? They're just going to die. And therefore, you're going to get super big, and you're going to make the enemy team tilt super hard. And that's what I've noticed. If you want to make the enemy team abandon, solo kill them in side lanes. It is brutally effective. Next, let's talk about my item choice very quickly. I decided to buy a Force Staff this game, and the reason for that is I didn't feel like any item would keep me or my teammates alive other than Force Staff. I don't feel like Hood will make us live through the burst, even though it is a great pipe game. My Viper will be buying it. We communicated that. And most importantly, even if right, I get a hood off and I get jumped on, I don't think I'm going to live. Most importantly, because they have an AA, right? So all that extra regen that I typically would have, that can get up to 30, 35, just doesn't exist. And so I decided to go for Force just so we could avoid these spells in general. And then look at this play by man. Oh, this was a big one. We walk over, we find the Viper, we land the hook and get him out. And honestly, that's like the biggest value of Pudge in teamfights. If you can save a core from an initial jump, let's say my Luna gets Echo Slime, then I can just hook her out. It is game-changing, right? It is absolutely game-changing. It's sort of like another swap, but you don't have to kill yourself with it. And upcoming here, we're going to see another example of that, so make sure you always keep this in mind in team fights. Just always remind yourself, like, hey, I can, and it is possible for me to hook my teammates out. Don't always feel like you have to hook the enemy, because here I'm like, oh, I don't want my Skywrath to get bursted. So I'm able to hook him out, he doesn't get hit by the AA blast, and we secure a kill. Both of my teammates end up living, and we're able to find the dismember onto the AA. Once again, not going for blind hooks unless I need to. A lot of the times I just see Pudges throwing blind hooks when you just shouldn't, right? You just shouldn't. Blind hooking is really only when like the enemy is getting away and they're low, or if you know that if you hit that hook, it guarantees a big kill. Other than that, if you throw a blind hook in a team fight and you miss, do you understand how much value you're actually losing, right? You're losing a lot of value. You're losing the ability to save a teammate. You're losing the ability to just get off, 360 pure damage? It's a big deal. The next thing I'd like to mention here is how you can get free kills in team fights. So I Force Staff over to Cliff, get that Force Staff off. I actually tried to hook my Luna out. She was in a bad position, and I hit the Earthshaker. It's kind of a free way to either save someone or hit a hook. You just throw it at the middle of the fight. I get this Dismember off. I earn him up, secure the kill into the Shaker. All's fine and dandy. After that, I'm going to eat my mango, I wand up, and then I hit a hook onto the AA. So I just see him moving backwards. Obviously, you kind of want to just look for the people who are slowed, who are disabled, and most importantly, are just not paying attention to you. If someone sees you, they're likely going to try to dodge your hook, but he doesn't see me. He doesn't even know I'm here, and because of that, I'm able to hit another hook. The only thing I would argue here is I probably should have went for the Zeus. That would have been a much higher value target that I can solo kill, and so yeah, maybe a slight mistake there. The next thing I'd like to mention is Pudge Aghanim's Scepter. Yes, you heard me right. Pudge Aghanim Scepter, what does it do? Well, it makes Aghanims an 11-second cooldown, and you can use it on your teammates. So you can actually eat your teammates. It heals them for 4% of their max HP per second, and then when they exit, they can, exit whenever they want by issuing a command, right? So you eat them up. It lasts for 3 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. When you eat them up, it heals them for about 12% of their max HP. But most importantly, the value of this is it allows you to save your teammates from, really bad situations. Let's say my Luna or my Skywrath gets jumped by Centaur. I can just eat them up and bring them away. It is a little bit hard to execute on. I think if you're going to go this Aghanims build, you need a Blink or an Aether Lens to make it, just easier to use. But do keep in mind that, you're eventually going to need these items, and that's really the only reason why I would recommend even considering Aether Lens on Pudge. So the next thing I'm going to mention, I know I say this all the time. I know it's basically the only thing I say, actually, but basically you want to push in a lot of waves and jungle a lot of camps. So at this point in the game, I have this, repair kit that gives me 25 HP regen. Pretty funny. I have 45 HP regen, and because of that, I can just rot down every single wave. And you want to make sure you're doing this, especially in your solo queue games when everyone is generally underfarmed if you're not that relatively high MMR. It's a big deal if you can scale and become basically another core. You really want to look at the position 4 as another core in order to snowball in solo queue. I see a lot of position 4 players sacrificing themselves, especially as Pudges, and it's just like 40 minutes in and they have an Aether Lens. Guys, make sure, you buy items like Force Staff, Hood, Urn, Tranquils, and farm, right? Take neutral items and do what you need to farm. Now this upcoming team fight here, let's just look at my decision making. I don't actually think it was perfect, but I want to talk about what I think I did right and what I did wrong. So my Luna ended up getting gone on. At this point in time, she doesn't have an Aegis. She does have a lot of lifesteal, right? She has Paladin Sword, Satanic, and the lifesteal talent. The problem is she gets AA blasted, and because of that, what I was thinking here is I'm like, okay, I can eat her and save her from the AA blast. The only problem is that, that was during her BKB duration, so it kind of drew it out. But it is an option, you do have, and even here, she was getting gone on pretty hard. She ends up getting stunned by the AA blast, getting dropped to like 1% HP, so I can once again eat her up and reset the fight. We didn't end up winning this fight hard. You'll see that my Luna, because she wasn't affected by the AA blast at the end of the fight, could actually man up to the enemy mage. It was pretty funny. Even the Shaker ended up going in and killing himself. But you can see that's the power of the Aghanim Scepter. When you're this tanky and you're not the focus of the fights as the position 4, you can just eat up your cores, heal them up, prevent them from dying to like major combos, and yeah, spit them back out and they can go in again. As a brief little tip here, I also want to show you why Pudge is really good at high ground pushes. First things first, this is the only situation where I think blind hooks are okay. Even then, if you can, let's say you have an Ember and he can slight chain someone on the high ground and you can follow it up with a hook, that's your best case scenario. But if you are able to hit a hook when you were going high ground, it makes going high ground 10 times easier. The next thing to note though is that if your core is sieging with something like an Aegis, what you can do is hook them out, right? If they get put in a bad spot, you can simply save them. Just tell them, don't move, right? Tell them, don't move. If they move, you'll miss and they die and then they flame you and then it's GG. And now at this point of the game, this was a very weird match. Anime just kept split pushing us. As you can see, our team doesn't really have like great disables. And you might be saying, well, Speed, don't you have Dismember? Yeah, but he has a Lincoln's, and an Abyssal, and a Manta, and Counterspell. So it's very hard for me to catch him. And therefore, we really needed a miracle situation to actually catch him, a big outplay. And in this case, we were able to actually read him. We briefly saw him on the map. My Skywrath and Luna ended up running down towards him to pick him off, because we knew he was cutting waves, guys, right? And this is the mentality of Immortal players. You just gotta kind of pick up on patterns. And, other players do this too, I'm sure. But you got to pick up on patterns, read them, and get off these big kills. And because of that, this is, once again, only one of the situations where I recommend blind hooking. I Force Staff towards them, I blink, and I'm like, okay, I literally cannot get into Dismember range. Even if I do, I can't get it off. And so I throw out the hook, right? I knew, obviously, right here, he has to funnel up the ramp. So I throw it right about here. You don't want to throw it exactly at the ramp. You want to throw it slightly off of it. And because of that, we're able to hit the hook, secure the kill, and that ends the game. And yeah, that's the power of Pudge. You do have the opportunity to just hook one big target. Even if you're going high ground, if you manage to hook, let's say in this game, the enemy Zeus, you would just win the fight for your team right then and there. And yeah, that's kind of even what happens here. I see the Zeus, and the only reason why I'm willing to dive is because the Animage is dead. I also believe he had no buyback. And yeah, that's nearly going to be about all for today's video as we dismember up the Centaur. But the main thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about is the laning, because I feel like that's such a big deal. Most of the time, the reason why people hate Pudges in their game is because they just throw a bunch of blind hooks in lane and that's about it, right? They feel useless. But if you kind of use the tactics that I'm showing you here, you'll do much better. And if you split push a lot more, you get much higher of a level. You'll build up flesh heaps over time by just getting more items, more levels in rot, more levels in hook. You'll snowball, you can pick up this ag, save your teammates, buy things like hood, force staff, blink, aether lens, depends on the game. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GAMELEAP.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream, and that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're gonna see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.